Namaskar, good afternoon. It's about 2:15 p.m. now. It's Friday, the 5th of January 2024. It's a happy new year. It's going okay so far. Only problem is coming from the physical plane, how to adapt, how to make the best of it, how to cope and adjust and so on. Now, I think today I want to touch a little about the subject of being. Some people, they say, have the nature, an angelic nature. Some people, they say, have a human nature with the natural human appetites, the natural emotions, the natural feelings, suffering, intellect, rationalization, and so on. And yet they say some are very tamasic, it meaning that they're static in a static phase, they're animalistic, and so on, that they have very abnormally strong appetite for food, for sleeping, for pleasure. Now, according to the enlightened masters, and I'm speaking from an Eastern perspective and more so from the tantric cult, they say that there are enjoyments that are beyond the physical. There are enjoyments that are beyond the intellect. People get happiness and pleasure from studying, from intellectualizing, like doing poetry, or solving a math problem, or helping somebody, even getting partners for people. It's an intellectual endeavor, finding the proper match, like the Reverend Moon was doing, from the Unification Church. He was famous for matching couples. So that's another intellectual game, finding the perfect match, the perfect pair, where you can live in harmony, contentment, peace, mutual understanding, affectations, and so on. That is a very touchy subject, And actually, they say long ago, people, they have soulmates. They were born for each other, they were made for each other, and so on, And this depends on your samskaras, your disposition, your calling, your nature, and so on. Now, they say it's only a master or a saint who can decipher the future of a person. He knows what this person will become, from a rustic country boy, from an uneducated person. Maybe a glorious future awaits him, depending on maybe his parents did a lot of good deeds. They helped humanity, they went to church, and they themselves exhorted in a positive way. So this genetically engineered the offspring, who will come after a generation, future generation. So religion is one of the great genetical engineering. Your own mind also, how you temper your mind and make your mind. And this calls maybe for willpower, this calls for dedication, for patience, for long-term suffering. How people achieve this sometimes is in groups. They have groups, clans, people who are moving towards a particular goal, whether it's for enlightenment, like the Buddha, they have a Sangha, or whether it's for intellectual purposes, like they have universities, schools. They move towards various directions, and in moving, there's an evolutionary tide, that carries them along towards discovering, finding, achieving success, celebration, ovations, failures also. In fact, one intellectual economist, he said, success is the final step on the ladder of failure. And his name, I must say, is Dr. Batra, Ravi Batra, the famous economist. Now, some people, they move along various ways, whether it's a scientific strain, or the business strain, or the arts strain, or the music. All these are being broadly classified, But when it comes to religion, the saints saying that they use the words like static. It means that the body is congested with bad energy, right? That If a person has 5 points of sentient force, positive force, and he's surrounded by negative force, he will be overweight and conquered in the end. So that's why we have people staying in groups, moving and traveling in the old days, crossing great oceans, going up into the mountains to escape the pull from the tyranny of the senses and the mind. In the end, they said that it's only a master or a saint who can free you from the tyranny of the senses and the minds by giving you techniques and methodology. But first of all, humanity didn't believe him until he proved himself by the sleight of hand, by conjecturing, by various powers and manifestation that this become known in the Asian cult as siddhas, are people who have siddhis, these magical powers, So they show humanity that there's another way out. So seeing is believing. So they give methodology and techniques and help students to also achieve the same end. But the thing is that you have to do to achieve. And this again is called for groupism and people with similar evolution may group together, people with beginners may group together, advanced students may group together, and so on. The thing is that since time immemorial there have been a setting or a system of being, of living, of conducting oneself in whatever field you choose. And they're usually supervisors, seniors who can see that the flow continues, progressing, is progressive, continuous, unbroken, and so on, by selecting worthy candidates, students, disciples. Now, there are certain sensitivities or certain norms and habits that make the way of life more progressive, rather than retrospect, is more prospective. So you're getting something out of your efforts, out of your struggles, out of your hardship, and so on. So what happened is that seniors, people who've been on the way for a long time, they've been marked as seniors, as people who can overlook, and managers, supervisors, as so on, seniority, the elders, the caretakers. So these are the ones who preserve and keep the system going and see that there's no loophole, there's no deviation, and so on. So these candidates who are coming must be ideal and fitted to the system as prescribed by the supervisors, the wise, the elders. If you do not have the prerequisite, you might not be in the inner circle, you might fall somewhere in the outer circle, or what they say as outlier. You might become an outlier in the concavity of significance, So what it is that whichever path you choose, you have to see whether you like it, whether it's helpful for you to progress out of the dreary basis of sense allurements, so that you can move on to enjoy more intellectual, what is known as struggle in the intellectual sphere. They say it's much more enjoyable than physical stage. And according to the Master Ramakrishna, for example, he said a spiritual happiness or enlightenment is millions of times more than the karma, the lustful enjoyments, the bodily sensual pleasures, and so on. So that's why you have in the traditions in Asia where people know the mystics, or in the West where they know the scientists and great one. You have sometimes they can forego meals and sleep, and their own pleasure to work and pursue their ambitions, dreams, and goals, and so on. This would mark the transition from one level of consciousness to another. And this can only be verified by people who have been on the path for a long time, who have known the marks and the signs of their students, and they can vouch for the student, they can vote for the student, or support genuineness when they see it, But nothing comes without direction, without a teacher, and without your effort, Like Edison, the scientist, said, genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. And just like the spiritual path, you have to fight against many obstacles and troubles and problems. And how you fight also might be an animalistic way, or a human way, or a spiritual as a Brahmin or a divine person, Like the Guru says, the Anandamayi Guru, he said problems are created by beings in animal state of mind. They are experienced by people in a human state, and they are solved by gods in a human form. So these realities, we all find them right around us here. There is no better classroom than the earth room, than the earth plane, to help us to move on. So we should utilize incarnation as best as we could, and may the new year bring us the correct teachers and a proper guide who can appeal to us, to our inner nature, to our genetic makeup, to lead and pull us towards the right path. Namaskar. Have a pleasant 2024.